Hello and welcome to IT Chronicles 10 and Tech. I'm Carlos Casanova and I'm here with my co-hosts Shane Carlson and Kathleen Wilson. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Carlos.
Hi.
And today we have Anupam Wahi from Incedo. Welcome, Anupam.
Hello, everyone.
So Anupam, we've been seeing a lot about Incedo, over the years and stuff, a lot of growth and whatnot. But, you guys are doing some great stuff with, with clients and especially in the IoT space. Tell us a little bit about how, some of your clients have benefited from, the engagement with you guys.
Yeah. So you see, IoT as a ecosystem has evolved, and there was a time when people used to think what it's going to be about. But today it's become a reality. A lot of investments are flowing in. Some of the things that we do differently in IoT, which has benefited our customers, is that we've brought the machine learning and analytics aspect into the game, where you have a lot of devices, which are the sensors that sort of pick up the data, but then a lot of operations and data is being driven into the cloud, which manage the operations, which simplifies the business operations. That's largely IoT in the connected world. Once you get to that point, the data that you generate, there's a lot of potential to look at that data and bring out aspects which you have not seen in a normal business fashion that has been the legacy operations. So we bring that value into the system by adding machine learning and artificial intelligence into that ecosystem. That's one key aspect that has changed a lot of dimensions for our customers. And I think that has brought a lot of value to them, where it's not just about business case and cost efficiencies, but it's also helping them change the business operations for them in a meaningful way.
So, Anupam, when it comes to talking about things like IoT, I think as an industry, we've kind of hit the peak of the hype cycle of the terminology. But I still see, when you go out and you talk to customers, a lot of people not really even knowing where to start with IoT and what that even means to them. If you were to look kind of across your customer portfolio today, look at, any particular sector like retail, et cetera, where's the typical place where you see a lot of your customers kind of, begin with IoT? And then once they turn the spigot on with all that data flowing in from all of these devices, how do they start driving value and making better decisions across their business from that?
Right. So the industry is in a very unique situation, right? Where, as I said, you have the operations that are running and you have your market shares that you hold in every industry. I mean, the industry could be retail, oil and gas, energy management, whatever be it. All these companies hold market shares and they drive, including automobile. It's very easy for a challenger to come in and disrupt using a technology there. And we've seen that in recent times in few of these industries, very, very recent time, right? Which sort of I call Uberization of the industry when it happens. So the point I'm trying to make is that everyone who is doing a business in a fashion has to go back and relook into how they're operating and what could happen tomorrow and disrupt the way they're doing business. So to me, the starting point of an IoT is to go back and think how the market is going to evolve and how the technology is going to evolve so that you can be adopting to the technology and changing the way you do your business. Because it's imperative, if you don't bring that change today, someone else will bring and challenge you. And that's going to put you in a situation where you're going to defend your market share rather than protect your market share. So for me, that's the starting for an IoT, not really the cost that drives IoT. Having said that, you have to also look at your appetite and balance sheet, because how much of IoT can be experimented with in a normal state of affairs, meaning what business growth it can drive for you, what efficiency it can drive for you in a short term to medium term, will drive how much of amount and time you could spend on it, right? The third aspect of getting to the point of IoT is the aspect of security, which to me is imperative, because when you put your data off-prem, go into cloud and look at driving operations from there, you have to ensure that the security and the data integrity and the compliance piece of it is completely intact and is protected. So those are questions and answers that are being debated by the CIOs and the strategists at all industries today. The good news is that almost all of these industries have either got into a trial phase in some form, in pilot phase in some form, or a proof of concept phase, in some areas to test out how they can bring technology and evolve. So the starting point is already there because there is an ecosystem now which is driving it quite a bit, I would say, right?
So one of the things is I want to go deeper into that example about how things change, right? Because it's not clear to a lot of customers when they adopt, because the Internet of Things devices are cheap, right? Data is the new oil. But again, how would I as an organization need to rethink how I manage my IT beyond the security aspect, because that's a data thing. Well, how do we actually get the infrastructure people, the operations people to lean in and to accept that IoT is the way we need to go, and we need to mine this data and act upon the results we see in our dashboards?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So now there is a technology organization in every sort of industry, and there is a IT organization, and then there is strategy, right? To me, IT is not just the user of the IoT ecosystem. So as I said, IT is the implementation piece of the IoT, because you have to bring a lot of stuff together, which is driven by IT. The essence of IoT is in the mix of all different organizations and all different systems operating together, which effectively means that, a simple example in a energy management or a retail or logistics management, you could look into the operations and see if I had, sensors there and I had data collected at intermediate stages, I could probably control my logistics and make it more meaningful by ensuring that I am reducing the wastage. I am able to control and predict some of the changes that are going to happen in the life cycle of how the operation moves, so that I can bring certain aspects of predictive analytics into it and be ready with some of those aspects to avoid the inefficiencies that crop up and the uncertainties that come up. So once you see the data and you do some of these analytics there, you come up with those aspects there. Another quick example could be, a simple operations which happens in a mining industry, where you mine using various infrastructure products. You could use these sensors and an IoT program to capture data basis how they are operating and devise a mechanism where you could predict the health of those systems and those assembly lines. So a single downtime in any of those situations can pull you down, which creates uncertainty and impacts business. So you could use IoT to manage your operations. This is one aspect of the IoT. Again, from my perspective, I sort of separate industrial IoT with consumer IoT. Consumer IoT to me is a commoditized phenomena that is happening all around us. We don't even realize, but it's happening. The industrial phenomena of the IoT is something that needs to be driven. And that is where you need business cases which will drive industries up or down, and those have to be put together in a meaningful way. So for the ecosystem to stand up to support them is what is required there, and the technology to come up has to be adopted well into the system, which is not just an IT play, if you understand, right? It has to be a strategy coming together around that company to adopt IoT in some sense. So to me, it's not just an IT play there.
So Anupam, thanks for for describing that. I mean, it sounds like there's some great opportunities that you guys are helping your clients with. Just quickly, just kind of wrapping up. How quickly do your clients see the value that you're providing them? Is this a quick turnaround? Is it a long strategic type model? I mean, I know there's a strategy behind it, but how quickly do do your clients actually see the value starting to be returned?
Carlos, this is a great question. So things are changing fast. There was a time when people were contemplating, and they were contemplating long enough, and the cycles were long, right? Because people were, first, the industry wasn't there. Second, the ecosystem was building up. And third, the motivation to do that was also, putting them in a dilemma. Today, I think that dilemma is done with. Everyone realizes the potential of it. The early adopters of IoT in some form have started to reap some benefits, which is visible to them as well. The point to understand is every industry which is run by these experts know their game pretty well. Any industry, so be it. And for them to adopt, they need to understand this aspect and then integrate it with their business requirements. So I think that is taking some time. If from a thought process to a POC was taking a year, it's now taking 3 months. If from POC, so what POC does is POC sort of proves to you that this is workable and gives you an understanding of what revenues or efficiencies you could drive out of it, meaning it also helps you justify your business case and investment on it. That cycle end to end is like a 3 month plus 3 month. And once it goes through, people are ready to pilot and people are ready to bring the change, because the moment you bring all these technologies, you need to do the change management piece within your industry, because a lot of people are used to legacy. So the implementation of it is a long drawn cycle, which cannot be sort of committed here, because it just depends on how deep you want to go with your IoT implementation. If it's a small piece, you could implement it and bring the change management around it. Could be a long cycle as well. But the good news is that it is sort of reducing with time. So which is a very good news.
Well, thank you. Sorry, Shane. So thank you very much for joining us today. Been some great information. I'm sure that we'll be seeing you guys continue to grow and making some waves in the IoT space. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.